Welcome back to The Explainer. When most people hear the word crypto, their mind immediately pictures Bitcoin, right? Or maybe Ethereum. But the truth is, the universe of digital tokens is way, way bigger and a lot more interesting than just those two. So today, we're going to break down 8 different types of tokens so you can really understand what they do, how they work, and yeah, the risks that come with them. So that brings us to the big question right here on the slide. Beyond Bitcoin, what even is a digital token? It's so easy to get swept up in the hype, but if you don't get this core concept, you're going to miss where all of this is actually going. To get that clarity, we've got to map out the whole landscape. And here's our game plan for today. I want you to think of it kind of like an hourglass. We're going to start really broad, with the big ideas. Then we'll narrow it down to these specific token types. And finally, we'll zoom back out to see the big picture of risk, reward, and the reality of it all. Let's get into it. Okay, first stop, the digital token universe. Look, before we can even start comparing different tokens, we all need to be on the same page about what a token actually is. Getting this right is the foundation for, well, everything else we're going to talk about. So at its core, a digital token is just a unit of something on a blockchain. But, and this is a big but, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. They can be designed for a huge range of things, from simple business transactions to proving you own a one-of-a-kind piece of art. The key takeaway here is that how a token is designed is directly connected to what it's for, and, super importantly, its risk profile. All right, let's dive into our first major group, tokens for value and use. These aren't the flashy, speculative tokens you might hear about. Think of these as the reliable workhorses of the digital economy. They're built for stability and to actually get things done. And first up, we've got stablecoins. The whole point is right there in the name, stability. They try to avoid those wild price swings you see elsewhere by pegging their value to something stable, like the US dollar. This makes them incredibly useful for things like sending money across borders or as a safe harbor inside the world of decentralized finance, what we call DeFi.
So how do they actually stay stable? Well, there are pretty much 3 main flavors. You've got your fiat-backed ones, which hold actual currency reserves in a bank. Then there are crypto-collateralized ones, backed by a big pile of other crypto assets. And then you have algorithmic stablecoins. These guys use smart contracts, basically just automated code to manage their supply. And as you can see on the slide, these are by far the riskiest of the bunch.
Next up, utility tokens. These are all about function. Their value comes directly from what you can do with them inside a specific system. The classic example here is FIL, the token for the Filecoin network. You literally use it to pay for data storage. Other tokens might let you vote on a project's future or pay transaction fees. It's pretty simple. If the network is useful, the token has value.
Okay, time to shift gears into our next category. Tokens as digital assets. Now, this is where things get really cool, because we're talking about how a token can actually represent ownership of something, whether it's in the real world or the digital one.
Asset-backed tokens are just fascinating. They are basically digital claims on real-world stuff. We're talking a piece of a building, a bar of gold, fine art, or even something you can't touch, like carbon credits. The real magic here is that they can make historically hard-to-sell assets super easy to trade. And they allow for fractional ownership. You could literally own a tiny piece of a Picasso, and that ownership is represented by your token. And of course, you knew it was coming, we have to talk about NFTs. A non-fungible token is really just a unique, one-of-a-kind digital certificate proving you own something. Non-fungible is a fancy way of saying it can't be replaced by an identical item. It's unique. And that uniqueness is guaranteed by a smart contract on the blockchain, creating this unbreakable digital proof of ownership.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly boils down the difference. Think of it this way. Asset-backed tokens are all about owning a share of something. They're interchangeable, like dollar bills. NFTs are about owning a specific, unique thing. They are not interchangeable, like the Mona Lisa. Both are about ownership, just in 2 totally different ways.
All right, let's take a deep breath and head into our most complex section, advanced crypto finance. Don't worry, I'll break it down for you. These are basically the specialized tools that are humming away deep inside the engine room of DeFi. So we've got 3 main types here. First, LP tokens. These are like a receipt you get for adding your crypto to a big liquidity pool, which helps make decentralized trading possible. Then you have LSTs and LRTs. These let you take assets you've already staked or locked up and use them again to earn more rewards. And finally, wrapped tokens. These act like a bridge, letting you take a coin like Bitcoin and use it on a totally different blockchain, like Ethereum. Now, each of these comes with its own unique risks, from something called impermanent loss for LPs to the risk that the bridge might fail for wrapped tokens.
Whew. Okay, we just went super deep. So now it's time to pull the lens back out and look at the whole picture again. This section is all about risk, reward, and reality, where we put all these pieces together and map out the entire token landscape.
And way out on the far end of that landscape, we find meme coins. These things were born from internet culture, starting with Dogecoin way back in 2013. Their value has almost nothing to do with technology and everything to do with social media hype and community jokes. They have zero underlying utility or assets, which makes them, you guessed it, probably the absolute riskiest type of digital token out there. So here's a really crucial point. These categories aren't always perfectly separate. You could totally have an asset-backed token that's also an NFT. That makes sense. But some concepts are just complete opposites. You are never, ever going to have a meme coin that is also a stablecoin. It's impossible. They live on totally opposite ends of the risk universe. And this brilliantly illustrates that crucial point. This chart just lays it all out so clearly. Down at the lower risk end, you have stablecoins, built for safety. In the middle, you have your utility and asset-backed tokens, where value is tied to something real. As you climb the ladder, you get into the more complex DeFi tokens. And right at the very top, in the highest risk zone, you've got meme coins, running on pure speculation. This gives you a fantastic mental map for understanding the space.
And that brings us to one last thought to leave you with. This whole idea of tokenization, turning assets from art to real estate into digital tokens, is really just getting started. It makes you wonder, as this tech gets better and more widespread, what's the next big thing that's going to go digital? Thank you for watching. If you got something from this, please like the video and support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That really helps us. Thanks again.